So, hello, welcome back to another episode of the Self to One with Tactics podcast. Today we're doing something completely different. We are gonna play some game while I'm a record and while I'm gonna, talk about certain things that are indeed relevant to the podcast. I don't really know why I've decided to do that. I kind of quite always like to play games, and I think that sometimes it obviously really depends on the game. For all the podcast listeners, at this point I'm playing Minecraft, since it's one of the only games that I'm able to play while I'm recording, probably besides some other games that I did not think about, haven't checked out, and so on and so forth. And I do have the ability to be a bit creative and do a bit of some things that might be worth doing, I guess. I hope, though, that I am even able to do so. If I'm not able to do so, if I'm not able to play, then I have to do things differently. And as you can see, it is rather it's rather laggy. Yes, 50 FPS. Thanks, motherfucker. That's amazing. Anyway, what do I want to talk about? Actually, I'm not quite sure. Life is good. Well, maybe life does. Sometimes it is the case that a door closes. Something that you wanted to do. I think it is really laggy, the recording, isn't it? So maybe, just maybe, let's just let's do something else. Let's do something else. Do I have an ability to draw online? Can I do so? Auto draw, fast drawing for everyone. Start drawing. Well, are you on? No, you're on. Let's do it differently then. Let's do this then. Whatever, do not, let's do it like this. Should be a bit better, I think, at least. We're gonna draw something, and while I'm doing so, I want to talk about life, and life sometimes deciding that certain things should just be the way they are. So let's see, draw peas. What are peas? Aren't peas these things? I see a mouse, I see a circle, and I do just hear that. Isn't peas like, it's peas? Well, yeah, thank you. Draw a bear in under 20 seconds. I do hope, though, audio input. Audio input capture. What can I do there? I do hope that the system audio isn't being recorded, because this would pretty be annoying. Since let's actually just mute this tab. Sometimes it is the case that certain things do not really work out the way you would have liked them to work out, but in the long run, everything is just gonna be fine. Everything is just gonna be okay, because life just decides that. Can I just draw, please? Life just decides that things should not have meant to be that way. Things should have been the way that things just ended up to be like. Of course, a ton of these things might just not be amazing, might not be cool, might not be really favorable. Of course, we would like to have certain things to work in a certain way because of reasons. We all have reasons to do certain things. But when one door closes, another one opens. Meaning, just because you did not get a certain opportunity and you just see me, well, yeah, let's do it like this. Just because you, can I draw that? I can. Just because something does not work out the way you wanted it to work out, does not really mean that, everything is lost and everything is bad and everything is whatever. But, sometimes things are what they are, and maybe in the long run, you're going to find something even better. You're going to find something that's suited to whatever it is all about, even a bit better. Who knows? I don't know. You don't know. Basically, nobody knows. Nobody can know. Some clouds here. Some rather... There might just be a name for these type of clouds, but I don't just know it. Those very, very long ones. Haha. Long. He said long. There's actually different pens. Streamer, pen. What does the pen differently? That is actually a bit more interesting. That is way more interesting. It is fine in the end. So many things are fine in the end. At first, of course, we might think, whoa, everything is so bad and everything is so shitty and why is it that way and whatever. But in the long run, seeing things as a whole, like life as a whole, things do not matter at all. Like, it is what it is. Often you just can't do anything about these things, you're not in control of everything, and that is fine, It is okay, one really has to live with these things. And be okay with it, and live with it, and accept that. And also, maybe also just try to use it as, well, something good, using it to your advantage. Okay, I'm just going to let faith decide over what is going to happen and what is not going to happen, because that should be fine as well, shouldn't it be? Upload options, copy all. I see. Like, we can always choose, Either we're seeing something as something rather bad, or something rather good. It really is up to us and our opinion and how we view things and how we see things. But obviously, this is not what just happened. This is not really easy. It's actually really difficult, to be honest, at least for me. Like, actually a ton of things are very, very difficult for me, to be honest. Like, even though I've been just having this podcast for really a long time, and I've been talking about different self-help things and whatever, it does not really mean that like, I don't know. That's actually a pretty nice color, but I actually did not want things to go in that way. Anyway, paint into layers. The thing is, there is a ton of things that I'm struggling with. There's a ton of things that I dislike. There's a ton of things that I need to be working on. And nobody's perfect, Even though I think people would know, but I don't know. Like, it's always hard to decide. It's always difficult, to generalize things. And one should always try to communicate rather in ways that make things quite clear. Today I've actually gotten a comment. Always pretty happy on TikTok, always pretty happy to get comments, whether it is on YouTube or whatnot. Real comments, not those shitty ass fake comments that everybody seemingly gets. People like, okay, go into my website, let's check this out, do this, do that, do the other thing, whatever. Like, first of all, no, I'm not gonna do so. And second of all, it's just nice to really get real comments and know, okay, this was written by a real person. The thing was, this person said, okay, this is something that's, I guess he said I just don't remember. It is something that we learned when we were children. I was talking about like the fact that we all have a blind spot and we all have certain things that we just don't know about. We all have these quote-unquote blind spots. I think it is actually a psychological term. Might be. I'm actually not too sure now. But like he said, okay, this is just something we all know, because in terms of blind spot, I was also talking about the ego and why we should actually be listening to quite everybody, because whomever it might be, whether it is a little child or whatever, all people do have the ability to give us or you something that is rather interesting and rather important to know. Like, sometimes a little child does something in a certain way that I need to think like, well, yeah, this is actually pretty smart, or is saying something, and I have to think like, well, you are quite right. You might be a little child, you might not be very experienced in just life or whatever, but you're right. And this was my point. This person said then, okay, so most people learn that when they are children. The problem that I'm having with that is, it is fine to say it like that. It is, you don't always have to over communicate things and also analyze things, but saying most people means most people considering the whole world know that. And there is also certain reasons why I talk about certain things, and why I've been talking about that, because really not everybody knows that, and not most people know that. So my answer was, I'm actually pretty happy for this person to be surrounded by people that apparently are pretty open and, smart, if you want to call that, or if you want to say that this is smart, and being smart is being open and knowing your limitations and knowing how things work and so on and so forth. Because, as I said, like, no, it's not most people. And who knows if it is most people? Of course, not every word that I'm personally using as well is the correct one, but I tend to always try. Sometimes it is just a really fucked up situation to be in, to really communicate things as clearly as I can, so that there is not a ton of space for interpretation. Because I exactly know that certain words have certain definitions and therefore should be used in a certain way to communicate certain things. This is the reason why we have words, and this is why we have words. Indian, what is actually this calligraphy pen? Not really something I wanted. It is difficult. It really is. It's and I shouldn't also be wanting other people to just do things maybe in the way I'm doing things, if this makes sense. Like, just because I'm saying, things in a certain way doesn't mean that everybody should. Like, really? This is not really my point. Can I now do... Can I... I really can. So what if I... Options, lock, send to back. Yeah, this is what I wanted to do. The thing is, at least at my point of view, it really does make sense to communicate rather clearly, and make sure that you are understood in a way that you would have liked to be understood. Something that I completely hate about communication is the fact that you just cannot be sure about things. There's so much space for interpretation. There's so much ways on or in which somebody can misinterpret whatever you're saying because of whatever reason. If it is based on the words that you're using, the way you're speaking, or just you yourself, or it's just because because of the other person. The other person just didn't know that this word means that, or whatever it might be about. It's also not that of an important fact. But still, it's like, yeah. I think it is a nice thing. I think it makes sense to communicate consciously. I don't know. It's always when you're getting certain comments like this, and I do not want this to be a rant, by the way. I just want people to recognize that. I want people to think about that. I think that getting comments like that really, I think it is important to also view the person or check out the person that said that. It's I thought it is a rather young person, or was a rather young person, and then it is like, yeah, what should I say? Like, it is what it is. Like, maybe this could be viewed as a reason, which is, by the way, also very generalized. Younger people don't know what they're saying, like paraphrased now. But yeah, like, no, not necessarily. Anyway, something else. So what is the English word for that? I just do want to say, be consciously communicate consciously. Know what you're saying. Try to say things in the way you want them to be said, and so on and so forth. Anyway, I think it's actually gotten pretty good, this picture. I'm having this. I can actually also Sketch.io, by the way, is actually pretty cool and pretty versatile. A ton of different options and ways and stuff. Like, it is quite amazing. I'm impressed, to be honest. But something that I would like to have is a little sea or something. Like right there. And there we're having a bit of waves. But it's, wide. Let's just also do it like this. Doesn't always have to be so strict and whatnot. I also like the way in which those lines work. It is indeed very dynamic compared to like just a strict line, which can be quite boring. Obviously also depends on things, I would say. But yeah, let's use some nice blue. Is this a nice blue? I actually do not like it that much, to be honest. But it works for now. It is what it is. So let's get also to the back, and now let's take the pen again and do some white lines in there as well, so that things do have a bit of contrast. Normally, like, the sun should also be mirrored in here, but yeah, let's just take it that way. There are actually many ways in which I could add a bit more detail, like some, what is this fucking shit called? Something that is often on playgrounds where you just sit on and you swing around. I don't know what it's called, but I could just hang it on this tree. Would actually be rather nice. You know, maybe I'm actually doing that. I don't know how to draw things like that, to be honest. But also because it's rather difficult to create a straight line. In here. But I think it's actually, if I find a person on there would also be nice, but people and me drawing them it's not easy, you know. I also don't really like it. Like it's not my thing, I would say. But yeah, I think it's fine. Should be fine. Yeah. It's okay. But I think in general, it is just the case that the process of communication is so fragile that it might also be not really worth your time to just try to make it as efficient and as good as you can, since the possibility of it just going wrong or into the wrong direction or whatnot is just so big that, you know, one could argue, like, why even bother if it is anyway like just a pain in the ass in the end. Like, I do understand that as well. I think this is also understandable and fine and okay and whatnot. But yeah, what does actually the time say? 21 minutes. I think that I'm gonna end the episode there. I do hope that I'm able to talk about certain things that were rather interesting. I actually do like the picture. I don't know. Like, tell me. Maybe you like it as well. If you do have some suggestions of things that I should have done differently, tell me. And I hope it was a better episode than usually. Anyway, I'm gonna see you next time. Bye bye.